start a business that competes with me.
Yeah.
So she kept them. And what she did is she started baking pies and taking them to farmers markets on the weekends and selling them. So even she found a way to do it.
Well, you have to.
Okay.
Like you said, the guy that hired you, he knew you had a family,
Yeah.
and she has a family.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to just close up shop.
But she figured a way around it. And then the protesters, I don't even know, the rioters, threw rocks through her window and burned her business, and she's done.
Yeah.
and they said, well, maybe she can just rebuild. Why would she? Why would she? Now, let's just say,
and especially there,
let's just say that this cop was a bad cop and he murdered Jacob Blake. Let's just say that's the case. Let's just say even that this was a white cop who hated black people, and this is how he was going to get back at black people because he hated them. Let's just say that's the scenario, okay? So we're going to burn down this lady's pie business?
Yeah.
How is that? It's not constructive. It's not fair. It's counterproductive.
Well, and that could have been a person that's on your side, but they're not on your side anymore.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like they said
yes.
that in Minnesota, like the Black Lives Matter, they said they had a 25%, approval rating, and now it's down to 0 because they're burning out everybody's businesses.
If you and I had somebody call this to my attention, and I've had people say stuff. They'll make a statement, and I know that statement's wrong, and I research it, and they just. I don't know where they got
Pulled
it
it out
from.
of their hat.
Yeah, maybe they read it on Alex Jones' website, or who knows where they got it from. But it's just wrong. But somebody made a statement. Did you know that Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization that wants to get rid of the nuclear family? And I said, oh, come on. Look at the website, blacklivesmatter.com. And I looked at it. And that's exactly what they say.
Yeah.
They want to revitalize and change the nuclear family.
Well, not also if you donate to them, it goes directly to the Democratic
Now, is that
fund.
Is that
Yes.
true?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't.
It goes to there. It's called I can't remember. There's a group that it goes to, and then they distribute it to all the Democratic candidates around the country. But it basically goes to Biden's campaign.
Yeah. Now, see, now you've given me some more work because now I have to research this.
Yep. Yeah.
And I will.
Yeah. Well, and I did too. I looked at that. I'm like, there's no way. But yeah, it does. I was like, well, that's disconcerting.
But here's the whole Black Lives Matter thing. I don't know of any person, white, black, whatever, who doesn't believe that Black Lives Matter. And it's certainly a case where we have discrimination in this country. It's certainly a tragedy that you have a percentage of white cops who have shot or killed black people. But and I'll use the George Floyd instance because that caused a lot of problems. And I even had a police officer on this show, and we talked about that. And he even said, look, I don't know what this guy was thinking, but he was either trained wrong or just did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees that Chauvin did Floyd wrong.
Well,
everybody agrees that. But then what happened was they suspended him immediately. A few days later, they brought charges against the guy.
Yeah.
He's going to trial, and he'll get his day in court.
Yeah.
But if he's found guilty,
he's going away.
He's going away. He will never see. I doubt that he'll ever see the light of day again. Now, to me, okay. I don't know why you would riot over that, because this is a case where justice was served. I would look at this and say, wow, look at the progress we've made in this country. Once upon a time, we wouldn't have even investigated that, but we do now.
Well, and
because we believe Black Lives Matter, all lives matter.
Yeah. Well, and you're saying, I train with police officers, all kinds of guys, and I have a professor, and he trains the police and military. And we were talking to him about this too, and he's like, I've trained this maneuver, and I teach, the police force these maneuvers and stuff like that. But
that ain't it.
No. Well, he goes, but we know. He goes, you, me, we're highly trained, and he goes, that you don't stand on somebody's neck for. Was it 7 minutes or how long it was?
Right.
He goes, because what happens. You know, you can choke somebody out in 30 seconds.
Right.
So he goes, on one hand, yes, that's a right move. Mm-hmm. But
30 seconds, not 7 minutes.
Yeah. He goes, there's a big difference. And he goes, and that's what we've had officers in in our training that he's like, I'm scared that they're on the street.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're so undertrained. Mm-hmm. And they even tell him, hey, you don't need to be an officer.
Yeah.
But he goes, that's what you got to do. You got to, you start training these people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he goes, not saying that all, not all of them, but he goes, yeah, but he goes, you have your percentage that are not good.
Sure.
So,
but again,
and I agree with you. Yeah.
In no place other than America could you have this happen. Where I mean, if this were Russia, it wouldn't matter. If this were China, it wouldn't matter. In this country, we look at this stuff, and to me, the whole George Floyd Chauvin thing was done right. It was justified. But instead, we riot and burn buildings.
Yeah. So you say you can protest peacefully. You just can't riot.
Well, and I heard,
you know what I mean. That's
I heard. You hear the term used.
Peaceful protesters?
Mostly peaceful protesters.
Mostly.
I've heard that, mostly peaceful protesters. And I had somebody, in fact, this was, who the heck was it? His name escapes me. He's a talk show host, a Jewish fella, young guy. What's his name? Help me out.
Is that, not Levin?
No. He's the young fella.
Oh, Shapiro?
Ben Shapiro, thank you. He said mostly peaceful protesters. He said, the day that O.J. Simpson killed his wife and Ronald Goldman, he was mostly peaceful that day. Yeah. There were just a few minutes out of that day where he turned Ronald Goldman and his wife into Pez dispensers, okay? Mm-hmm. Just a little bit of the day. But for most of the day, he was peaceful.
Yeah.
So you can't say that O.J. Simpson was a peaceful guy.
Yeah.
Not that most of the day he was.
Yeah.
So if you're walking up and down the street with a sign saying whatever your sign says, peacefully protesting, and then you decide to throw a Molotov cocktail through a building window, you're not a peaceful protester anymore.
Yeah,
you're not. You're not.
You're crossed the line.
You're an anarchist.
Yes.
And you need to be thrown into prison if convicted.
Yeah. And that's what they say, if you start giving these guys, the sentences, they'll, a lot of people start waking up, and that's what happens. They don't give them, like they just made, where was it? I can't remember what city it was in. It was one of these cities that they just made, hitting a cop or anything, assaulting a cop. It's a misdemeanor now. Mm-hmm. They change it back to a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's ridiculous.
Yes, it is ridiculous. So.
Well, even the whole deal in Kenosha, the 17-year-old guy, Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to be an interesting one, too.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I read up on that.
Yeah.
And this guy shot that fella in cold blood, kind of. Okay. Now, he should have never been there. What the heck is a 17-year-old doing with a rifle at an event like that? He should have been home with his parents.
Yeah. Well, supposedly they said that they, I don't know if somebody said they hired them or had people, he was protecting a building, like, a business.
Who would hire a 17-year-old to protect a building?
That's true, too. That's true, too. So,
but the thing with that guy is there was one of the fellows that he shot was throwing stuff at him.
Yeah, well,
and he ran away. He chased him, throwing more stuff at him. Then Rittenhouse turned around and shot the guy dead.
Yeah.
Now, was he justified in shooting him dead? Absolutely not. But what kind of a moron chases a guy with a rifle and throws stuff at him?
Well, and supposedly they started shooting at him first. They have the video now. They're shooting at him. So
I've heard that too.
So, and then they have people now that are coming out saying, yeah, they were shooting at him prior, but neither here nor there. It's still that that same thing is he's a 17-year-old kid protecting somebody's property. Who hires a 17-year-old kid with an AR?
That's
is he trained? He was trained?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't. Well, obviously, I mean, he shot on target several times.
Yeah, but if it took that time, he had a lot of restraint from running, and then he got hit in the head with a skateboard. The guy hit him in the head with a.
Yeah, but you're like, but again,
what was he doing there?
Let's just say
that situation didn't even have to happen.
Yeah, he should have never been there.
No.
But if you're up against a guy with a rifle and you're armed with a skateboard, are you going to go after him?
No.
And I'm not trying to be ignorant. Well, actually, maybe I am trying to be ignorant. Okay, But if a guy goes after someone with a rifle, with a skateboard, and he gets shot, friend, the gene pool has just been improved.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying he deserved it, but
No.
the guy's a moron for doing that.
Yeah. And supposedly, those guys that did get killed had huge rap sheets too. So, and
Which doesn't justify it.
No, it doesn't justify it. But they could have been paid anarchists or something like that. There's like another story there too.
When somebody gets killed, it's always the same thing. He was a nice boy. He was a good boy. Everybody loved him. He'd give you the shirt off his back. And 9 times out of 10, that's just baloney.
Yeah.
He was an anarchist. He was a troublemaker. This is the 17th time he's done something like this. But there won't be an 18th.
Yeah.
It's a cynical. It's a cynical way of looking at it nowadays. But like I said, I'm not proud of the fact that I'm becoming a glass half empty guy with all this baloney.
But it's kind of a disturbing trend that you're seeing, with that. You don't want it to go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like they said, who are these people? And a lot of people say, oh, they're paid by George Soros, and which I've found there's a big part of them are, because that, I don't know if you saw that interview with the guy that gets paid and he makes a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried to get that reporter's like, well, do you guys get paid for this? And he's like, well, I do. He goes, and this is all you have to do. Go in this website, this, that. And he goes, it's kind of like a pyramid scheme, and he'll send you money.
It's funny, and I know that happens by the right and the left, and I don't know why they do that. But you always hear, it's Russian operatives, it's Chinese operatives. I see so much stuff out there on Facebook and that posted by people that are smart people. They're not dummies. But some of the stuff they put out there is just, I have to think this is some Russian operative or Chinese operative who has put this thing together, put a false title on it, and thrown it out there.
To see what sticks and
get
people going.
Just to get people going. That's exactly right. So you talk about, do the Russians influence our elections? Do I think they get into the ballot box and change things? No. But do I think they stir the pot and urinate in the water bin?
Oh, sure
they're doing that. They're absolutely are doing that.
Well, and I think all countries do that to each other, to kind of,
And that's the thing about this country versus other countries. There was a guy this week, maybe it was last week, who he was a foe of Putin. Okay. And so Putin just poisoned him, killed the guy.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't kill him; he's not dead yet. But he was
probably wish he was dead.
He was in a Siberian hospital. They flew him to a German hospital, and the Germans are saying, "Look, this guy was definitely poisoned." The Russians are saying, "Nah, you're just lying." If they don't like their opposition, they kill them.
Yeah.
That's why they don't have any opposition, because the opposition is dead.
Exactly.
President Xi over in China had a guy who was opposing him. And, of course, in China, what they do is say, you're going to be thrown into prison for corruption in the government. Okay.
Yeah.
So the guy left. Him and his wife left. Xi threw into prison his cousins, his brothers, his sisters, his nieces, his nephews, threw them into prison and said, because the guy came to the United States, says, now you need to come back. They said, we're not coming back. I said, okay. They had 2 kids, and their 2 kids were being cared for by his parents, their grandparents. They said, okay, we're going to throw your parents, the kids' grandparents, into jail and put your children up for adoption if you don't come back. I don't know if he's come back or not, but that's what they do in China and Russia to those who oppose them.
Yeah, so people better,
They don't do that in this country.
No. And
we have freedoms.
Yeah, for now. And so, people, be careful what you wish for, because you might get it,
Yeah.
That's that glass half empty thing.
Yeah, I know, and it depresses me. But I'm trying to look on the bright side of things.
Hey, the Lord's in control, right?
You know what? If you don't, that's about the only way you can come upon some semblance of hope.
Yeah.
If you feel that way.
And people say, God wins. In the end, God wins.
It always works that way eventually, doesn't it?
It always.
I did read another statistic that I found very interesting, and it was about people in prison. And they talk about how jobs are so important, and I do believe jobs are important. Oh, yeah. And a good job, not a $7 an hour job. A high school kid gets a $7 an hour job.
Yeah.
If you're going to raise a family,
that's your stepping stone. Though,
That's a stepping stone. That's right. But the people that are in prison, outside of white collar crimes, there's virtually nobody in prison that had a 40-hour-a-week job when arrested.
No.
And you know